Alright guys, so here it is, my most requested video, my room tour. I'm just going to get a pan shot here first, and then I'm going to go around and give the tour. So here's just a shot of the room first. Alright guys, so starting on the left, we have my store display light up PlayStation 2 sign. Below that we have my boxed Genesis collection. Here's my desktop, which I don't really use, with my iPod Touch and my iPod, and there's my Acer notebook, netbook, little notebook. Up here we have my Mario corner, where you can see I have a store display Super Nintendo sign. I have a 14-inch Mario. I have some other Mario figures, plushies, tiny toys, all these Mario things. I love this corner. There's some more up there. And right next to it, that is a store display light up Nintendo 64 sign. Both of those signs are official, by the way. Below that we have my loose Genesis games, as well as my loose 32X games. Below that we have my boxed Atari Jaguar games, my Intellivision games. Here's a Commodore monitor, blocked by my chair a little bit, but it still works. There's a little bit of problem with discoloration, and with that you would use the Commodore VIC-20 right there. Starting up top here, we have my Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, Game Boy games boxed. Below that we have my PlayStation 1 games, many of which are RPGs. I have a video on that if you want to watch that. Up above here, before I go down too low, I have a boxed complete Virtual Boy. And to the right of that you can see a McDonald's Happy Meal Sonic the Hedgehog 3 store display. Very rare, lucky to have that. There's a loose Virtual Boy. Here are my NES games, loose. And to the left of that I have my Atari 2600 games. Below that we have boxed Super Nintendo games and my loose Super Nintendo games. That is Teddy from Persona 4, by the way. Right here we have my video game magazines. Years and years of magazines. I really don't know what to do with them anymore. Here we have my storage bins for controllers and wires. It's very useful to have both of these. Very happy with those. Here we have another Virtual Boy. And coming over here, we have my Sega Master System games, boxed. Loose Sega Master System games. Below that we have my PlayStation 3 games and my Xbox 360 collection. Below that we have my Nintendo Wii games, and that starts my PlayStation 2 game collection. And PlayStation 2 is my favorite system of all time. There's just way too many great games on this system. And down below here we have the start of my GameCube games. There's my Xbox games, some more PS2 games, and the rest of my GameCube collection. Here I have a boxed ColecoVision with the expansion port to play Atari 2600 games. We have 4 NESs. We have 2 Sega Genesises with a 32X add-on. And coming up here we have my TV area. That's a 32-inch Sony Vega TV. It does not do 1080p, but it's served me well over the years. Here we have the Game.com in its box. A dark cloud display. I'm very lucky to have that. Up here we have a Sonic the Hedgehog pillow, which has remained in the same spot for years, and I never want to move it because I think it looks great. But starting with the systems, we have the original PlayStation 1. Right next to that we have the Nintendo Wii. Below that we have the original Xbox, and below that we have the Xbox 360 Elite. Coming back up here, there's a Game Boy sign, store display sign. Below that we have my boxed 3DO games, which, believe it or not, long boxed 3DO games are quite hard to get in good condition, and they are quite expensive. Below that we have my loose Nintendo 64 games, followed by my boxed Nintendo 64 games. Below that we have my Sega Saturn games. There's a boxed copy of Knights hidden behind that speaker there. I also have Panzer Dragoon Saga. Here's my Sega CD games. And here we have my system collection. Right there we have the ColecoVision, the Sears version of Atari 2600, a modded Atari 2600 so it can use AV composite cables, the Nintendo 64, the Model 2 Super Nintendo, the GameCube, Sega Saturn, the Samsung Nuon. That is actually a game system put up by Samsung a couple of years ago. It's very obscure and they got some really great titles on there. It also plays DVDs. There we have the Dreamcast, the Gold Star edition of 3DO, the Atari Jaguar, the PlayStation 2, Model 1, the PlayStation 3. Next to that we have the Model 1 Sega Genesis with a Sega CD attachment, the Neo Geo AES, and hidden below that we have the Sega Master System and the TurboGrafx 16. Coming up over here we have my game system boxes. The only one that has a system in it is the Intellivision. I just don't have the room to put it out. Here are my video game plushies. We have Final Fantasy XI, Banjo-Kazooie, Spyro, Crash, Sonic, Zelda. And here we have my Sonic the Hedgehog collection, which you can watch in depth in another video, but here's just a quick shot of it. Sonic and Mario, if you haven't guessed, are my favorite game characters, especially Sonic. And here's more, because I just didn't have enough room on that top shelf. And below that we have my figure collection. In the corner we have my loose Star Wars figures, and sorry about the light, because I got a light down there. We have Shadow of the Colossus figures, we have a Shadow of the Colossus statue, Final Fantasy VII, Zelda, and a whole bunch of other little things. I love that shelf there. Here we have my PSP collection, my Nintendo DS collection, Virtual Boy, and hidden in these little shelves here I got some Game Boy Advance games. There's my PSP. There's my Nintendo DS with a Wonder Swan, Klonoa Boxed Edition. There's Game Boy games in that little thing there. Wonder Swan, Game Gear, Game.com. Here's my DVD collection. The left side is all horror. The middle is anime, Blu-ray, TV shows, whatever. The right side is fantasy and sci-fi movies. And over here we have my figures in boxes. I have some Lord of the Rings. I have Star Wars here. And then over here we have a store display Sonic the Hedgehog coming soon sign where you can write the releases of games that are coming out. It actually lights up. And here we have a God of War 1 standee display. In this display cabinet here with Kirby on top, I have my handhelds. I have the Game Boy Color, the original Game Boy, Game Boy SP, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Micro. Below that we have the Game Gear, the Neo Geo Pocket, the Wonder Swan Color. There we have a replica of Link's Sword and Shield with a certificate and a little Link figure. There we have the Sega Nomad and a handheld Coleco thing that has a whole bunch of games on it. 4 Game Boys and 2 Model 3 Genesises. Here we have a large 5-foot-tall Sonic the Hedgehog plush. We have an official Atari Jaguar banner. It's a little bit hidden, but it is an official banner and I love it. A Super Mario Galaxy display with books, and I'm a huge fan of Ray Harryhausen movies, so I have some of those figures there with some Star Wars. And over here is the junk display place. I don't know, I just kind of throw up random Lord of the Rings and Star Wars stuff that I have on there. And below it we have some board games for Lord of the Rings, some random Atari Pong systems. Down there I keep my hardcover books. It's kind of hard to see, but they're down there. And over here I have my video game strategy guides and my little TV that I like to do some movie watching and game watching on sometimes if I want to do it right next to my bed. Some Sonic the Hedgehog comics. And there you go, guys. That's my room. I hope it was worth the wait. This was my #1 requested video for a very long time. And I thank you guys for watching. Check out my other videos. I do game reviews, in-depth collection tours. And there you go.